Hello and welcome everybody to 1984, where Fuzzy Zoeller won the US Open. You know Ben Crenshaw with his amazing putting, the Masters, 1984, do you remember that? And Wilson came out with the Wilson Staff JP, big fat huge forgiving face. Persimmon. What else could you possibly want? Maybe some awesome movies like Terminator, or my personal favorite comedy of all time, Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy. This is just all-time great comedy. Speaking of funny comedies, my life is a funny comedy. So you know how Police Academy came out in 1984. I didn't see it in 1984. I was like 5. But when I was older, 8, 9, 10, you know, the 80s, it was on TV, okay? And I remember that was when, you know, the innocence of a kid kind of sinks in when you watch something like that with your family, and my dad is like laughing. He's like, that's how my dad laughs, I guess. And, you know, as a little kid, I didn't get it. I was just like, can you explain it to me? I don't get it. Is it funny? And I'm just like, can you draw me a picture? You know, my dad's just like, grow up, kid. So we'll see if I'm qualified as a grown-up to hit this thing from 1984. Let's get it under the microscope and have a closer look. The driver has an aluminum sole plate. You can see Wilson Staff JP stamped in here. Finest Persimmon, as opposed to their normal drivers, which are just some C-grade laminate. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. The wood number right here. 1 wood in this case. No stamping by the toe or the heel. You can see it looks like it's pinned. As we spin around the skirt here, I'm seeing 1 decal right here. Not sure if that's going to focus, but it says Staff Tour Block 4300. And then we spin to the face. We have a 4-screw diamond pattern holding the face insert in place. And how many is that? 8, 9 grooves on the face. Looks like a nice medium deep face there. Very reasonable. At address, there's the JP at address, which is nice branding. And you can see the grain of the wood, which I absolutely love. I'm not sure if the camera's going to do that justice, but in person, you can just see the grain. It's really pretty. And we can spin up the shaft here. The whipping looks fine. However, you can see how it's been pulled through, which is pretty normal. And then up here, it looks like it wasn't pulled back down. It looks like they actually glued it to this little plastic ferrule bit right here. And that looks to me like it's been re-whipped. We move up the stepped shaft to the True Temper Dynamic Regular Flex shaft right here. 15F 4-1 or whatever that all is. And then you can see just my little note here to myself. Golf Pride Tour Wrap Aftermarket Grip on here. It feels really good. This is very playable. Tour wraps were my favorite for a long time. Golf Pride Tour. Made in the USA. This was when they were still made in the USA. Are they still made in the USA? It's a beautiful persimmon. You can see there's some damage here, as you would expect and as I like to see. I like to see that these things are used. So speaking of using this, I've been to the range with this. Let's roll that footage. This is a fine club to hit. Not saying that I'm going to hit it perfectly every time. It presents a challenge, which is why I like it. And I like this more than the previous Wilson solid persimmon that I've hit. And I like this more than the laminate Wilsons. It's just my personal preference. I like solid persimmons. If I'm going to play and enjoy vintage clubs, why not play with something I enjoy, which is solid persimmon? And I love the 80s because it captures that last part, like for decades, more than 30 years. Technology hadn't changed much. Even the tailor-made Pittsburgh Persimmon, the steel drivers, were the same size and shape as the Persimmons. Sometimes you could argue a little bit smaller. And so, to me, the 80s are the most accessible as a vintage golfer. I mean, you pick anything from the 80s. You can pick Tony Penna. You can pick Wilson. You can pick McGregor. There's any number of clubs that are interesting. So, and present this small little form factor. So, for me, this is a yes, 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 all the way across. I would easily pair this with some of the Wilson staff blades in the early 80s. They're absolutely phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to building a set around this driver, this particular one. And you'll be able to recognize it because it has these, like a diamond, it has this fingerprint character damage to it. So excited to read your comments. Have you, like the staff JP is a little bit more scarce than just the staff Tor block stuff that we see all the time. So let me know your thoughts about the JP in particular. Do you remember this? Do you know somebody who played these? Do you own some of these, and what are your thoughts about them? I'm excited to hear your memories and thoughts. As usual, you can support this channel by visiting us on Patreon. I post a couple updates here and there. It's general support. You can also support us by visiting my Amazon shop. I'll put a link in the description below. I am an Amazon associate. I make proceeds from qualifying purchases. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Vintage Golfer.